This is the Boys Podcast on TV Podcast Industries. We are back with the 6th episode of the final season of The Boys, Though the Heavens Fall.
You're not scared of me.
No, I'm not scared of you. I feel for you, kid. I do. I mean, you're a whack job, but, that's talent. So, no surprise there. So, there you go. Do what you gotta do.
Welcome back, fellow boys and girls, to TV Podcast Industries. We're back talking about The Boys, Season 5, Episode 6, Though the Heavens Fall. I am one of your hosts, Darick.
Hello there, fellow boys and girls. I am your other host, John. Still with a little bit of a deep voice after sort of losing my voice there last week.
Yes.
So still on the mend, but getting better.
Absolutely. Couldn't come aboard for the finale of Daredevil Season 2, unfortunately, which was a real shame because a great ending to the excellent Daredevil Born Again. But at least you're able to get back on here for The Boys.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. Hopefully my new, improved, deeper voice will be okay on everyone's ears.
I just
no
hope
longer dulcet, it's more bass.
I just hope it holds out for the full episode.
Well, that as well.
Else. Both of us are massive collectors of nerdy stuff, John, but I know we've never really taken part in the popcorn bucket trend. This episode has the worst looking popcorn bucket I think I've ever seen at the deepest popcorn bucket, isn't it?
Well, certainly the one that's most open to abuse, I would say. If the June popcorn bucket could be equated with a fleshlight, then I'm sure the deep, with his mouth wide open, could be deeped, should we say. But I loved that reference. Yeah. Absolutely loved it. I mean, it's so good.
It is.
I mean, I know it's not referencing the June bucket, it's referencing.
It is, but the Wolverine one from Deadpool and Wolverine was also taking the same swipe at the Dune popcorn bucket, but the deep one here. I think it's on sale for like $36 with a regular popcorn. Very good. I love it. I love that they even have Firecracker doing the version of Nicole Kidman doing the intro to the Vought cinemas as well. So yes, a nice little touch there as well. But we will get into our full details about this episode as we go through the 6th episode of The Boys Season 5. If you haven't subscribed to the podcast, we'd love you to pop on over to tvpodcastindustries.com. Subscribe over there to our main feed for the podcast. This is almost the end of The Boys on TV Podcast Industries, so the feed will be drying up for a little while for The Boys, but there is loads more stuff that we're covering on TV Podcast Industries, so we'd love you to stay with us for all that stuff. You can also send us in your feedback to feedback@tvpodcastindustries.com, or pop on over to our Facebook group at facebook.com/group/TV Podcast Industries, or go over to Discord, the details of which are in the show notes for this episode, and you can join us there for all of your feedback for any of the episodes that we're covering.
Yes, absolutely. And a quick reminder that we will be continuing the pub quiz with question 6 from season 5. Mm-hmm. So we'll get to that later in the episode. Remember just to gather up all the answers together, all 8 of them, and send them in to feedback@tvpodcastindustries.com once we have given you the last question, and you'll be in with a chance of getting your hands on some of the boys' goodies.
Absolutely. And if you could let us know where you are in the world as well, that helps us choose the goodies in advance of sending them out as well. So that would be great. That's it for the intro stuff, John?
Yes. Darick, who gave us what, where, when, and how?
Well, the showrunner for the show, of course, is Eric Kripke. It's based on the comic series from Garth, Ennis and Darick Robertson, and the executive producer of the show are Seth and Evan Goldberg. This episode was written by David Reed. This is his 5th episode of 6, and he's also co-writer on the finale as well. So looking forward to seeing what he delivers there. And the episode is directed by Catriona McKenzie, an Indigenous Australian director for over 20 years. This is her second episode of The Boys. She also directed an episode in the final season of Supernatural, did Gen V Season 2, Episode 6, and Episode 3 of Marvel's Echo as well. So lots of stuff that we've covered here on our little podcast and TV podcast industries.
Yeah, excellent stuff. Yeah. Good to have Catriona McKenzie on board. Yeah, certainly after Marvel's Echo.
Absolutely. John, do you want to tell us what they gave us with your synopsis for The Boys Season 5, Episode 6?
Sure. The Deep records a promotional video for Vought's controversial new oil pipeline. Black Noir 2, resentful over Deep's murder of Adam Bourke, sabotages the pipeline, causing a massive oil spill that devastates the surrounding sea life. As soon as he learns of his betrayal, the Deep retaliates by killing Black Noir. Meanwhile, when Ashley expresses her reservations for Sister Sage's plan, Sister Sage incapacitates Ashley and has Bashley read Soldier Boy's mind. Upon being told by Bashley he has a lead on the V1, Sister Sage leaves Vought Tower to join the boys. Once the boys produce more of the virus, Huey and Annie attempt to plant it at one of Homelander's churches, but are thwarted by O'Father. The boys then contact the legend to learn Bombsight's whereabouts. He directs them to the Golden Geisha, Bombsight's former lover, and they use her as bait with Sage's assistance. When Bombsight arrives to save her, he is ambushed by Soldier Boy. After an intense brawl, Bombsight gives Soldier Boy the V1 in exchange for the latter depriving him of his powers and immortality. Despite Sage's predictions, Soldier Boy hands over the V1 to Homelander, who injects himself with it as the boys look on helplessly, with Billy Butcher shouting, "Run!"
Yes, like the only reaction you could possibly have with Homelander taking V1. Yeah. Oh, how did that happen? We will get into our major moments from the episode. We break them out into our boys, our protagonist moment, the Seven, our antagonist moment, and our other outstanding moment from the episode. Let's kick off with our boys moment.
Oi, oi.
Oi, oi, John. Where do you want to start with our boys moment from the episode?
I guess it's the old folks' home or Vought villages, where incontinence pads become superpowers, I guess.
I guess so.
And, I mean, I just think this is really interesting having Vought villages in this episode. It's kind of the center for trying to coax Bombsight out of hiding, as this is where you have Golden Geisha.
Yes.
And this is where the legend brings Billy Butcher, as well as Kimiko and Mother's Milk to try and persuade Golden Geisha to contact Bombsight in order to bring him, and then eventually have to go back in the dead of night to actually kidnap her, because I think like she has 28 numbers, all of which no longer work, which I really quite like.
I love the line.
That sounds like an old person.
It does, but did you hear in the background when they say you had 28 numbers and she goes, "Do you know a way to delete any of them?"
Yeah, exactly. I think that made it more realistic.
It did.
I think it was just so funny.
Yeah.
I love the fact that we did get a geriatric face-off, a one with the old saggy balls. I don't know. I mean, this was the thing. I presumed it was the Soup's superpower was his.
I think so.
Yeah, I mean, Whitnut. I don't know what he's called.
I think his name is Nutsack.
Nutsack. Okay.
I don't know actually.
Or I was just.
But I do love that the minute that Billy Butcher sees him, he goes, "This one's for you."
Yeah, exactly. But I didn't quite know whether it was just the outward expression of old age or whether it was his actual superpower. But I guess even the fact that he did utilize them like kind of nunchucks and so on.
Nutchucks, maybe.
Exactly. The use of them as nutchucks, I think we'll have to say, is definitely, he must have had to deal with that.
Yeah,
I guess that meant that always the power of surprise was his primary superpower, because everyone would just go, what the hell? And then, immediately knocked out. But possibly the Nutsack's axe, not only were they sort of able to be swung around and used as a weapon, but possibly were made of something like lead. So it's almost like a kosh of nuts. It's kind of like violent teabagging, or something like that.
Yeah, I feel like maybe when he was younger, he wouldn't have been able to do it from so far across the room. Maybe it was a much more close quarters combat fighter, and then it's developed
kind of like a Tyrannosaurus Rex doing, kind of using his nuts. But now he's got the reach. Yeah,
absolutely. I really love this setup. I really love this idea. You know, the whole concept of Garth Ennis's comic book and Darick Robertson's comic book is that it's taking what would the world be like if superheroes were in the world, and we've had, you know, teenage superheroes and teenage kicks obviously early on this season. We've had music stars who have superpowers, we've had the church who have superpowers, and now we have this old folks home where powered people who've gotten to an age where they can no longer go out and practice being soups in the world are sent to retire. I love that in the background you hear all the adverts from the 30s, 40s, 50s all the way up to today, and how brutal they are as well. They're still, Vought was as bad back in the 50s as it is now, you know. But I love that we have these little touches to this whole community setup of soups that have reached retirement, and then they have to be shuffled off into the old folks home.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of a full life cycle thing, and I like the fact it's only the V1 that kind of, in a sense, grants immortality. It's interesting though as well with the V1, because the immortality bit is right in a sense because of Soldier Boy and so on. However, Stormfront, I presume, had V1 in as well, and she ultimately, they can be killed even though they are almost immortal.
Yeah,
I guess.
Yeah, they're not invincible.
They're not invincible, exactly.
Yes. Well, yeah, there's people that have had V1 that are dead. I would say that's accurate.
Yes.
Yeah. There are nods in here, and I'm sure we'll talk about it as we go through this episode and the last two episodes of the season. There are nods here that we will learn more about what V1 actually does when we get to Vought Rising. You know, that's a lot of little intricacies that are being set up here, or maybe even changes to what we thought was happening in earlier seasons that are going to be answered, unfortunately, over in Vought Rising. But it makes Vought Rising interesting as well, right? It's not going to be this standalone series that has no connection to the boys. So a couple of things that we may think we know, we may not. We may find out are different when we get over there.
Yes, I like that. I also like the fact that, you know, as soups, they're still, in a sense, slightly obnoxious because, well, first of all, they gang up to protect Goldie from the boys. And I like also the fact that with the legend, you know, they're not beyond being smutty, dirty, and horny. So I think one of the classic lines from this is that where he says, "I dined out at Goldie's, that establishment, the service was excellent," or something like that. And you're just like, that's so smutty. That's so sort of under the radar smutty from the legend, or Chet.
Yeah,
Chet Vanderbilt, as he's known in the cinematic reception world.
Yes.
I just thought was really, really good. And he's like that all the way through. I think
Paul Reiser's great.
He is.
Like, I couldn't believe it. I thought when they mentioned the legend last episode, and I was kind of going, "Oh, he's gone to ground. We'll never hear from him again." And genuinely, I thought they were just saying we wouldn't hear from him because they couldn't get Paul Reiser back for this season. Yeah. I just thought they were just giving themselves an out. And then here he is in the next episode. Of course, they were setting up the fact that they will be going out looking for the legend. So delighted that he's back here because he's so good in this episode.
Yeah, and I mean, the other nice thing about this, I guess, the Vought Villages side was just the connection that Kimiko does form with Golden Geisha, in that she goes, you know, you were the first person on TV that looked like me, even through the racial stereotyping and jokes that was done. And I mean, we do kind of see one around the Engine 9 as well, and he's there as well. So it's that kind of level of representation, shall we say, on screen, one that comes with a whole dose of stereotypes and racism.
Yeah.
And I like that there's this connection here, even through that kind of nonsense between Kimiko and Golden Geisha.
And you know it yourself as well, John. You know, when I was back in the 80s and there were gay characters on TV, they were so broadly drawn and they were so sometimes really embarrassing and not representative. But just to have a gay person on TV when we were kids was something that you would be inspired by, just knowing that there are people out there in the world that are like you, and at least there's some kind of representation. How bad it is or not doesn't really matter when there's nothing else to see or no other options, I suppose.
Or you projected, given that we had recently watched The Lost Boys, you projected your homosexuality onto straight people like Robert Patrick in The Lost Boys and go, that's almost it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you've almost got a gay character in there. Yeah, almost.
Yeah.
But yes, so I can kind of see Kimiko's point, and it's interesting as the rest of the episode plays out and how the relationship with Golden Geisha and Bombsight plays out. There's some similarities there as well.
Yeah, but I think Nutsack was great. I think I had him down as Testicle Sack.
Well, there you go. Yeah. Just wouldn't fit as well on his name badge.
No, but Sack is with no K.
Oh, very good. Okay, yep. Good plan, John.
It's still longer.
It is. Again, maybe it's just increased over the years.
Testy Sack, I guess.
Maybe
you could do.
Maybe.
I wonder how they tested him out on his audience.
Oh dear, John. Okay.
Anyway.
Anything else about the Elffolk Zone before we move on, John?
Well, it's where they could have gone with this, actually, in many respects. It wasn't quite as bad as it could have been at the old people's care home, to be honest, because really they only showed saggy nuts. The whole rake of other stuff that superpowered could have been horrendous.
There are definitely other options that they could have gone for.
Otherwise, I just liked how this brought a different ensemble on screen.
Exactly. Great stuff. I'll move on with my protagonist moment from the episode. I really like the alternate plan that they're trying to release the virus in Homelander's church ahead of his sermon so that he is going to be taken out by the virus, and it's left to Annie and Huey to go and set it up. We have them being caught in the act by Oh Father. Mostly because of the conversation that happens. Like, the idea here has always been that Annie has been a Christian superhero coming from the beginning of the first time that we saw her, right back in season 1, episode 1. And she's dealing with a character like Oh Father, who was an inspirational person in the church as a soup and using his powers to bring the flock together to worship God effectively. And here she is standing in front of him, and this golden statue of Homelander, which has now taken the place of Jesus in the church and now taken place of God in the church. It's the fact that you have those two characters standing off against each other, and Annie cannot understand how he would be twisted so much by what Homelander is telling him to do. I just think it's a really good conversation, really good argument that's there. We have Oh Father saying, when I was 8 years old, I started preaching, and people would come to my house and tell me to pray for them to get well or to get a job or to save them in some way. And God never listened to me at all. But when I speak, Homelander listens. And then he says one thing that I thought was really funny. He says, Homelander took this church from the ashes and returned it to a powerful church. And in my head, I was going, 15 million in debt.
Exactly.
Spent. So all that he's really done, he hasn't saved the church. All he's done is gotten you out of debt or given you more money to plow into whatever you were plowing it into before. So he's twisting everything to his own ideals, not connected with Christianity, not connected with the faith that he had supported for all of these years. But just interesting that there is that connection with Annie going all the way back to when she was a kid and he was her cool older brother who wasn't too stressed about the church, but was willing to give her guidance, and she always respected him. And now she has to go against him because she doesn't respect him anymore. But interestingly, in the fight, Oh Father seems super powerful, very, very powerful. He knocks down Annie 2 or 3 times, right? And he can't even get Purchase to be able to use her powers against him.
Exactly. No, that's the thing that stood out for me, was just how actually strong he is with regards to his breath, I would say. Because initially I was thinking, those waves that we have seen at his previous sermons where, you have Ashley trying to hold her wig on.
Yes, absolutely.
Is that sort of a way for him to manipulate or to penetrate the word into people's brains? I thought it was something like that, a visual representation of that. I'm now thinking it is just like almost sonic booms. Yeah. It's almost like Banshee, really.
It is. Yeah.
Just in the way that he deploys it here against Annie. And yeah, he certainly is quicker off the mark. I think you're right. She's just not able to get the purchase quick enough.
Yeah.
And that I thought that was really, really interesting. Really good look at Oh Father's power set. I do like the fact as well in this moment, that they are almost reminiscing about their time together when they were younger.
Absolutely. I love that Annie's going, remember you gave me guidance to not get that cross on my back. And he was going, I thought a cross-shaped tramp stamp sent the wrong message to everybody. And she says to him, well, nobody likes to be told that they're wrong like you are, and you're making the wrong decision that could affect all of us for the rest of our lives. Really enjoy it. And the outcome of this is that Hughie effectively threatens Oh Father with the virus, with dropping the virus, killing both him and Annie, but tells him that Annie has the antidote.
Yeah.
So I think there's something interesting in there. Number one, he's told Oh Father that there is an antidote, which as of right now, there isn't, and Annie doesn't have it, but Oh Father has that information now. And also they didn't get to plant the virus at the church. They had to abandon their plan. So that's not going to happen. They have the virus still, but Oh Father may think that Annie has an antidote in case somebody comes looking for an antidote in the next couple of episodes.
Yeah.
There you go. That is my protagonist moment for the episode. Let's move on to our antagonist moments, John.
You're not the real heroes. I'm the real hero.
So, John, what's your antagonist moment for the episode?
My big one's the fight actually between Soldier Boy and Bombsight. I like the fact that they clearly do dislike one another, and it's almost like they're running as an automatic car almost. They're just, you put it in gear and off it goes.
Yes, yep.
They're just immediately, as Bombsight sees Soldier Boy arrive at the kind of the V1 drop off for the boys, because we've got to bear in mind there is Golden Geisha there that has been effectively held out as bait to pull in Bombsight.
Yeah.
I mean, the other thing that we'll come to a little bit later is we have Sister Sage there as well as Billy Butcher, Mother's Milk, and Kamiko and Frenchie, and here it's immediately these two are focused on one another, and so I think it's kind of just interesting to see this fight play out really here, because firstly, Bombsight has brought the V1, which there's a lot of people there saying how he's stupid enough to have done that, including Golden Geisha, which I really liked. It's not just the sage powers of Sister Sage; it's just the knowledge from Golden Geisha.
Yeah.
But I like that they interchange between their first names. So Soldier Boy is calling him Robbie, and Bombsight is calling Soldier Boy Ben. And you have Bombsight pleading with Ben, to kind of stop, because I think one of the things that informs this fight is, yes, they do dislike one another and always have done, but kind of the reasons come out for it. The fact that Bombsight wasn't the face of what Vought was building.
Yeah.
And I think this plays on the mind to what Soldier Boy does later with the V1 when he gets it in his grasp. So Bombsight always felt incredibly sort of inadequate around it.
Yeah.
And actually now, because of the conversations with Golden Geisha, the reason he brings the V1 is to give Golden Geisha it so that she would be saved from this kidnapping.
Mm-hmm.
But Golden Geisha has told him a million times, I don't want it. I don't want to be immortal like you, because we'll never age. Like, in a sense, she's accepted her death. She's accepted that she is mortal, even though she is a superhero. As she says, summer is only beautiful when you know winter is coming. And I think that the other side of this that's an interesting sort of little sub-note here as well is that Kimiko kind of explains to Frenchie that, in a sense, they've come to the same conclusion.
Exactly.
Why they won't take it and will take the risk of being exposed to this virus. Because I think, as Kimiko says, we don't want to die, but we don't want to be vampires either.
Exactly.
Sort of living beyond the time that's allotted to us. And in a sense, Bombsight is also beginning to realize, that this extension of time is way beyond what he needs as well. And in a sense, because he wants to join Golden Geisha here.
Exactly.
And so he asks Soldier Boy if he can remove his powers. And Soldier Boy kind of says that, and he can remove your powers and the immortality of the V1 from him. And
his power is that he can destroy the compound in anybody else's body around him. So by doing that, he's able to take out the V1. Really important that we know that Soldier Boy can do this right now.
Absolutely.
for the end of the series. But I do love the argument. I do love the kind of back and forth here, because this is the same argument that we saw in Lord of the Rings with Aragorn and Arwen, you know, the idea that she will live forever, but he will, while he can live longer, she will eventually outlive him. Can she live with that? It's the same argument that you see in the Vampire Chronicles and Anne Rice's books, the idea that you are an immortal vampire. What do? Do you take the person with them? In some sense, of course, we saw that in lots and lots of other vampire stories as well. But the idea is that if you fall in love with someone, you want to spend your entire immortality with them. And if that person chooses not to become immortal, then you will watch them wither and age and die. Golden Geisha has totally accepted that she will die, and it seems like Bombsight here is saying he would never want to live without her, but he's giving her every opportunity to live forever alongside him.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. She is in a wheelchair with a drip. He looks like he's straight out of the 40s.
Yeah.
And I think Soldier Boy that says, he will give back his mortality and remove the powers for the V1.
Yeah.
And he does this. Bombsight gives him the V1 and becomes mortal and loses powers.
Yeah.
Like he sees the blood on him, and it's like, I haven't seen my blood since whenever.
Decades, yeah.
And so this is, again, as you say, just really important for the personal storyline of Geisha or Golden Geisha and Bombsight, but equally for the wider story, given what happens by the end of the episode, maybe some of the only routes for dealing with soups with V1.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that has crossed the mind of Homelander.
Well, perhaps.
Ultimately, is that something he's overlooked or just isn't really aware of?
Yeah.
Yeah,
we'll definitely see how that plays out, I'm sure. The other question I do have is, we have got a character from Gen V who is able to take the powers of any other superhero for 90 seconds and use them herself, which is how Gen V finished.
Yes.
Could she possibly take Soldier Boy's powers and use them to take out Homelander if we are going to see the Gen V characters come in for the final battle at the end of the boys? So maybe it's not Soldier Boy that does it. Maybe it is Harper, another character on the side of good. So hopefully they'll work out some way to do that. That would be kind of cool if they did.
Yeah, that would be really interesting.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a team up maybe then between Homelander and Soldier Boy, and they have to work around these two V1 carrying soups.
Yeah. there you go. That's my prediction for the end of the series.
Excellent stuff.
We'll find it in 2 weeks' time, John. I'm excited to know.
Darick, what's your Seven moment?
A fond farewell to another member of the Seven. Goodbye, Black Noir 2. I kind of like the setup of this. The fact that we see the Deep once again going to an even lower level than he's gone to previously. Sister Sage talks him into making a PSA about the fact that this pipeline is being built through the ocean, and that he has to convince the world this pipeline's a good idea to stop all the oil pipeline protesters. And you see Deep's face just kind of going, but fish notoriously don't like oil going through their lands. And effectively, Black Noir chooses this opportunity to get his revenge on the Deep for killing Adam Bourke last week's episode by basically cutting into the pipeline. We learn this after we see the Deep covered in oil in the ocean trying to save some of the fish, and we hear one of the fish telling the Deep, "We know what you did. We know that you're the one that said this was okay to come through here." So the fish aren't any fan of his.
Well, no, I mean he says it's organic. It comes from the earth, and all those dinosaurs would have died for nothing.
Yes, that's his PSA. Yes, but when he gets back to his podcast room and talking to Black Noir, Black Noir 2 reveals that it was him that cracked open the pipeline. Pretty easy to do, he says. It's really poorly made, effectively. We learned that actually what Black Noir has done is killed 1.4 billion fish. And we know from the Deep's point of view that is the equivalent of killing 1.4 billion people, because the Deep treats all of the creatures in the ocean like better than human, really. So it's mass genocide from his point of view, and what he chooses to do is stab him in the throat, killing Black Noir.
Well, he finds it funny, or the Deep thinks that Black Noir is finding this funny, and he goes, "You think the fish holocaust is funny?" Ultimately, Black Noir gets garroted and then a knife up into the chin. Yeah, I mean, I guess I actually just didn't see it coming that the Deep was going to kill Black Noir. I thought it was going to be the other way round. And then seeing this play out, I thought that was a really sort of nice way of doing it. Ultimately, though, the Deep is in the wind. He kind of immediately seems to regret what he's done. Not so much maybe for Black Noir, but for his position at Vought.
It's a big deal. Black Noir has been around for a very, very long time. Was number 2 besides Homelander for years, and they replaced him with Black Noir 2 when Black Noir died, right? So a really important person to be replaced, and effectively the Deep has just gone out and killed him without asking permission from Homelander. So he's probably thinking, I'm in a bad place here, or could be in a very bad place here. So we'll see how that goes. But interestingly, that kind of puts the Deep back on the table for Starlight to finally get her revenge from season 1, episode 1, and take out the Deep by the end of this season, which I still think is the way it should have gone. Real sad that we've lost Black Noir 2, though. He's been a very interesting character.
Absolutely.
To have him as this person that has to hide being able to talk in front of every single person except for the Deep, who hates him anyway, was an interesting way to close it all out for the character. But that's my antagonist moment for the episode, John. We'll move on to our final outstanding moments for the episode.
Good stuff.
Thank you. You have 5 minutes to make your openings.
Where do you want to go with your final other moment from the episode, John?
It's ultimately that Homelander gets the V. We get the lasers into the sky. And as he actually takes the V1. I think, just sort of leading to that point is really quite good. The way it's done in this episode. I love the fact that, we have this brief moment of the V1 development testing, which provides a nicely sort of amusing opening to the boys through the credits that get splattered in the butt blood that is being ejected from one of the test subjects.
Yeah. Was it subject 35 or something like that? Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
35th attempt. Yeah.
But I think the interesting point here is, you have, as you say, Sister Sage saying, well, next time is the charm, but you have Homelander. I don't think he's necessarily clicked. I think that comes a little later, but he says, keep swinging, you'll get there. I don't imagine that Vought is cleverer than you, Sage. So he's expecting that this development will work, or he is now starting to get concerned that it's not working because of the difference in intelligence between Vought and Sister Sage for back engineering effectively the V1 compound.
And he is right, isn't he? There's no way that Sister Sage wouldn't have been able to recreate anything that was done in the past if she set her mind to it. So doing 35 attempts and not achieving this sounds like she's trying to prevent it from being created, right? She said before she's doing everything she can to make sure that he doesn't get his hands on V1, and one of the easiest things is messing up the experiments, right? So that's what she must be doing. There's no way that she hasn't.
Yeah, I mean, I think
synthesize this.
I still though think that it kind of only clicks together then a bit later, where you have both Homelander and Soldier Boy on the trail of bomb site here. You just have this laptop at the house that they've just broken into, with effectively Homelander killing Stormfront, or having the sort of the
stump job, I think.
The stump job, exactly.
Yeah. Just treating her absolutely despicably in the mind of Soldier Boy. Is like, how could you possibly treat this woman like that? How could you treat a woman as amazing as she was in his mind? How could you treat her like that?
Well, that's it. He freaks out. You have effectively Homelander saying this is a setup by Sage, and he tries to get out of it. I loved her, and so did you. But I this is trying to sort of rip us apart, drive a wedge between us, and I can't find the V1 without you. And Soldier Boy effectively leaves saying, good, you don't deserve to live forever after what he's just seen. I think, again, the other side here, just to connect it into Sister Sage, is that we've seen Sister Sage effectively want to understand Homelander by bringing in Ashley and Bashley to actually get Bashley to read his mind. And Ashley's kind of broken the deal. She doesn't want to do it anymore because she actually doesn't trust Sage, which Sage is like, well, that makes sense. But Sage is like, well, I've got to go to plan B. So she chloroforms Ashley in order so that she can speak directly with back Ashley and not her, which then leads to the point where Bashley does read Soldier Boy's mind as Sage engineers his presence in her office.
Yeah.
And I mean, you really get the notion from Bashley that his head is all messed up. She says he's proud of Homelander, but doesn't want him to know that, and he's actually thinking of helping him out, and that he may have a trail for the V1 compound, and it's all freaked them both out. But Bashley says, I think I may have just shat Ashley's pants for her, on the basis of seeing sort of the crazy scrambled eggs that is happening in Soldier Boy's head. And this ultimately is the reason why we have Sister Sage putting her lot in and going with plan B.
Absolutely. But also, Ashley was completely right not to trust Sister Sage, because she just goes, right, I'm out of here, never coming back. And she will never be back to the tower. So you have Bashley on her own going, what am I supposed to do? I'm in control of the body from the back of the head, can't do anything. Ashley's still chloroformed, and Sister Sage is leaving her on her own there. She has no address, I guess, for the bunker that Sister Sage might be going to in the future, and Sister Sage is gone, right, into the wind. So yeah, Ashley was right.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I guess the plan 2 of Sister Sage was completely ignore the fact that you've offered anything to Ashley, chloroform her and get the information that you need from Ashley, and that's it.
Yeah.
End of plan.
And I think ultimately this comes to pass where you have Homelander inserting himself into this kind of big moment of the boys trying to get V1 from bomb site through the kidnapping of Golden Geisha.
Mm-hmm.
You have Soldier Boy trying to get the V1 for himself, not entirely understanding what he's going to do with it. And Homelander has arrived here because the legend, Chet Vanderbilt, just as a throwaway remark that Golden Geisha has been dealing with and selling Vought alert necklaces on Vought TV, and so he gets analytics to track her alert necklace.
Exactly.
So it ends up being there, and it's saying, "I don't want to fight you," to Soldier Boy. Give it to me. And in the end, he hands this over, and as he says, it's not because of what I think, it's because of what Clara would have wanted, or Stormfront, because you're the true form of what Vought is working towards, which she always used to say to him, and he says, but I've seen you.
Yes.
And she saw you and allied with you when I was out of action. So to his mind, this is what Clara would have wanted.
Yeah.
And so he hands Homelander the V1.
It's that irrational decision based on love from Soldier Boy was completely unreadable from Sister Sage, because you see her freaking out going, what's he doing? I didn't predict that at all.
Exactly.
There's no possibility he would have done that. But it's because of the love that he had for Clara that makes him make that decision. And here we have the immortal Homelander.
Exactly. I love the fact he has to laser his own skin open.
That was really cool.
In order to inject it.
Take the injection,
and then he has the reaction. So we do just leave him with lasers powered up into the sky. So hopefully, jets were going across that flight path when he shot them.
It'd be a good nod back to, again, season 1, episode 1, if he just cut a flying plane in half.
You have Soldier Boy kind of backing off, and Billy Butcher telling the boys ultimately, and those assembled, including Sister Sage, to run.
Yeah. Yeah, I did also like just a little touch, because Soldier Boy had taken away Bombsight's powers. As Homelander arrives, Bombsight just legs it in the opposite direction, because it would be absolutely in the boys' wheelhouse to take away Bombsight's powers so he can be there with his girlfriend, Golden Geisha. That's what he asked for, and then Homelander to come in and just cut him in half with his laser eyes. So they did allow Bombsight to get out of there at that moment. So fair dues to them for not taking the opportunity for killing off right there. So we'll definitely see how that's going to play out. I did not
it's just
expect
really
that to happen at all.
Really intriguing. For it to happen. Maybe I did think it was going to happen. Maybe just not like on episode 6.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it's quite good, because now we've got 2 episodes with Homelander filled with V1.
Well, yeah. I thought, I know the season has been very much a bit of a keep away kind of thing. Go here, go there, try and find the V1. That's what it's been all about. So I just didn't expect it to be in the last 20 minutes of the episode. They find the V1 and then Homelander injects it into his bloodstream and off he goes. What an interesting one. My other outstanding moment, just to give the legend his due, I just want to talk about Paul Reiser back in this role. I love that from the beginning we have him working in the Vought Theatre, talking to the young kids about the people that he shagged over the time that he's been the legend, and they're all the young guy that's his boss, probably mid-20s, to the legend's 70s, I guess, 60 or 70 years old, has no interest in the stories of the old man. It's just, clean the nozzle for the butter for the popcorn.
But it's even worse than that, because it's don't forget to clean out the nacho cheese spigot.
Oh, nacho cheese spigot. All right.
I mean, what with nutsack? This is just all way too sort of too much imagery,
really is.
I think. But yeah, I love the dynamic here. I mean, ultimately, the young manager gets killed by Homelander because, well, we needed to speak alone.
Yeah.
But
brutal.
It feels like something out of the Full Monty of this notion of someone who has been the legend.
Okay.
Who suddenly is working in a job that he would never have expected.
Well, I couldn't
because he's been
behind.
made redundant or retired or
well, they froze his bank accounts.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And it's like he's now trying to sort of just get some money together and is having to take a job that he feels is maybe not the right one for him.
Yeah.
But I like the fact that he's taking it in his stride by, just reminiscing all the time.
Absolutely,
And, just the number of different words that you could use for shagging.
Yeah, exactly. It's great.
It was a masterclass.
It was. Paul Reiser is just fantastic in this role. And just as the episode goes on, he's the one that tells MM that it's Golden Geisha they need to go and find when they aren't able to convince her to give them the details for Bombsight, and MM says, well, I guess we just got to come back tonight and kidnap her. Legend calls out MM, tells him he's sounding more and more like Butcher, and that kind of gets through to MM. We were saying that MM's changed quite a lot this season. He's accepted the fact that he's going to die and he's not going to be able to get back to his family, and the Legend can easily see it and saying, look, I'd rather die than change the way you have into someone like Butcher. Thought that was really interesting. And interestingly, he has a moment with Homelander as well, where he's actually leads Homelander to the hideout for the boys, where the Legend believes the boys are going to be. It turns out they're already gone, and usually he knows that means the end. That everybody who's been in that kind of situation with Homelander ends off being dead, but the Legend kind of is able to talk himself down, talk himself out of the situation. He tells Homelander that, well, I guess, you are a bit crazy, but that's just what talent's like.
Well,
I've dealt with talent for years. He tells him about all of the people that are in the old folks' home that they were just in. Everybody there believed that they were the best in the world, and it just didn't work out for all of them. And it is usually someone like the Legend that tells them, your time's up. You need to retire. And that day will come for Homelander as well, as it has come for the Legend. He has had his time, he's had to move on, and Homelander will just have to accept not everything in life goes your way. And absolutely, I was expecting to see the eyes light up, but the Legend has let go.
Well, I mean, I think there's two things for me. I mean, I think just having Paul Reiser so good, I just love the double, triple entendres that he uses. Just all of it is so insinuating filth. It's just really, really good. I like that in this moment, and this is the great thing about Homelander as a character. It is, will he get lasers? Will he get ripped in half, or won't he? I think here you have a moment of someone just speaking the truth. He's like, well, I know you're going to kill me. Yeah. I'm not scared about that.
Exactly.
It's kind of almost slightly mirroring what Golden Geisha is saying to Bombsight.
Yeah.
I don't mind growing old and dying. Here, it's like, I don't mind you killing me. I've accepted that it's going to happen.
Exactly.
And here's why, as you say. But in fact, he says it's because you're an effing whack job. But that's talent. It is the spectrum of talent. I guess it's why, in a non-soup world, it's just all over the front pages of magazines and so on. No wonder they go crazy. Or go uber private, or whatever it is that they do. And so there's that spectrum. And he says, well, you're just a whack job. You're off your face. But that is talent. And I mean, the only way I wrote it down was that Chet does what Firecracker didn't. He didn't say anything else.
Absolutely.
When Homelander is, you can go, no words, go now.
Yep.
He just leaves.
Paul Fox, the Legend. Yep.
And off he walks. He doesn't, I mean, other than saying, are you sure? Like, he kind of, there's a bit of interchange there, but ultimately he does what Firecracker didn't, and that was to leave silently.
Yeah, exactly. Keep your mouth
Don't
shut.
question it. keep your mouth shut and go.
Exactly. So yes, the legend is my other outstanding moment and my final moment from the episode. Anything else about the episode you want to mention, John, that we haven't mentioned at all?
No, there's nothing there for me.
I've just got one that we haven't mentioned. It was just one of the ads that I thought was hilariously in poor taste, which was them advertising the Vought brand weight loss tablets on the old TV ad where a lady's put on a few too many pounds, she thinks, and we find out that the Vought brand weight loss tablets are actually meth, and you can take them and maybe at the same time as breakfast, or maybe just instead of breakfast. So that's exactly what you would expect from Vought, even in the 50s, right?
Absolutely.
But with that, John, what did you think of the episode overall?
I really enjoyed this. I thought it really moved towards the conclusion. I liked how it was done. I would give this 4.5 Christmas swinging nuts out of 5. I loved the injection here of the legend, Chet Vanderbilt. I think, words of wisdom, shall we say, not sage words, just words of wisdom from the business that he's worked in to both Mother's Milk and from his experience as well, to both Mother's Milk and to Homelander, and ones that seem to cut through. And I really enjoyed that. I loved having Golden Geisha here and Bombsight, finally see Bombsight, who he is and why he's been doing what he was doing. I thought maybe he was being sort of used by his sister Sage. That wasn't the case. It was to try and keep the love of his life alive, and that connects in with Kimiko and with Starlight's story. I mean, even to the point where, you have Starlight and Huey sharing a small but intimate moment before they actually go off to the Democratic Church of America to try and put that virus in place. And all of this was really good. And then, I guess the surprise of finally understanding how Soldier Boy is going to rationalize in his own mind the use of having the V1 in his hands. Is he going to snap it in half like Homelander initially thinks, given how Soldier Boy walks out of that setup by Sage, or is he going to give it to Homelander and ultimately he takes the path of something that wasn't predicted by Sister Sage
or me
which is the person who probably I had the only connection with all his shagging across the ages, was with Clara Stormfront, and so did Homelander, and that's actually the connection that has linked the two, as much as anything else, is that, well, she stood by you like she stood by me because she thought I was initially the face of Vought and what he was trying to do. It's now you. It's almost like passing a baton here. So actually, in the end, what you realize with Soldier Boy is he's a bit of a corporate man as well.
Oh, absolutely.
And so, like, I kind of like that, and I like sort of the fact that Bombsight runs away from him. You have Soldier Boy edging backwards after he's given it to him. And you have Billy Butcher effectively saying, run. So I'm really looking forward to seeing just how this then really plays out. It's not what I was expecting for sure. 4.5 Christmas swinging nuts.
Excellent. I like this episode. I'm certainly looking forward to the conclusion of the show and how this is building towards it. I'd still prefer a little less of the setup for Vought Rising, especially because this is the end of the characters that we're seeing in a show coming up in about a year's time. But it's making me more intrigued about watching that show. But I'm still glad they're doing so much for the characters and the boys. Another dead member of the Seven, losing Black Noir this week after losing Firecracker last week. Someone pointed out that this is the order in which those the one-shots were delivered in the episode. The first one was Firecracker, the second was Black Noir. One after that's Terror. Will Terror go next week?
Oh, maybe.
Oh, let's hope not, huh? Because he's a good boy.
He's a very good boy.
He's a very good boy. But did enjoy the episode. Very much looking forward to the penultimate episode next week. With that, John, I think we need to go and get a drink down the local pub and get our next pub quiz question.
Yes, indeed. Fellow boys and girls, fellow quizzers, it is question 6 of the season 5 pub quiz for the boys. The question is, what does death smell like according to the legend Chet Vanderbilt?
Another great line from the episode. Yeah, excellent stuff. That's the 6th question. John, do you want to give it one more time?
Yes. What does death smell like according to the legend Chet Vanderbilt?
Fantastic. Collect all 8 answers together and email into us at the end of the season to feedback@tvpodcastindustry.com, and you could be in with a chance of getting your hands on some boys goodies at the end of the season. With that, I think it's time to take a little rest for our voices with some feedback from our wonderful fellow boys and girls. First up, a voicemail in from Harrison Fox.
Hello, boys and girls. Harrison Fox calling in with the review of the latest Boys episode. They are really pushing this Vought Rising stuff. And it's making me interested. I'm curious to see what Soldier Boy and Bombsight's beef is. I'm really curious to see the interactions with Liberty. And I know, so just sprinkling that in now, and I don't even know if there's a release date for Vought Rising yet, but I am looking forward to it. Always great to see Paul Reiser again. He's just such a great character, the legend. I really like the kind of deep emotional discussion on would you want to live forever if you have to watch those around you that you love age and die and be left alone and potentially have to start anew or just never get over it. Very deep thoughts, deep questions. No, really great episode. Watching Sage's plan fall apart because she is way too logical to understand how volatile emotions can be. You know, we got a couple episodes left, and now we have a potentially immortal Homelander. I'm very surprised he got the V1. I didn't think he was going to. No, awesome episode. Can't wait to see where it goes. 4.5 dangly balls out of 5. Talk to you guys soon.
Fantastic. Very similar to your rating.
Yes, I was thinking I should have just as well done Nutcrackers out of 5.
Very good. Yes, very good. Harrison just reminded me of just part of that discussion about, can you live on or give immortality to your partner if you're immortal? And one of the things that's interesting about Soldier Boy as a character, and a lot of discussion about this online, Soldier Boy was in love with Clara, while Clara was married to her previous husband back in the 40s. He did move on to Crimson Countess. We met her back in season 2 of the show when Soldier Boy was introduced as well. So he did move on, and then didn't realize that Clara had come back and taken on the name Stormfront and joined up with Homelander while he was out. So just interesting that there's that little extra connection with what Bombsight's saying to him. Maybe if he'd known that Clara was out there all that time, that he would have gone back to her rather than going off to Crimson Countess, which we maybe we'll find out something about that in the next couple of episodes.
Maybe or maybe with Vought Rising.
Probably in Vought Rising again. Yes, absolutely. But yeah, Harrison, I think I'm on the same track as you there as well. Vought Rising I'm intrigued with, but I would like a little bit more in the boys show, but we've still got 2 more episodes to go, so why not?
Yeah. Great stuff. Thanks, Harrison, and thanks for your message about my throat as well. That was very nice.
Absolutely. We have an email in from Coffee and Vodka on this episode. He says, "Greetings, fellow God-modded defenders. The definition of a proper episode. Full, ever moving the plot along, tense, funny, satisfying, and with one hell of a cliffhanger. Who had money on the Deep taking out Black Noir? I didn't think he had it in him, especially after seeing that popcorn bucket. Speaking of nice to see the legend again, a creepier class act there's never been, and nicer still to see him make it out alive. As much as we expected to see Sage visit the boys to get the Armageddon ball rolling faster, it was a surprise to see her get something this wrong. As for Homelander's new status, Butcher described it best with a single word: run. So much more that I haven't mentioned, but again, the mark of a fully packed proper episode. Can't wait for next week with only a couple of episodes of a single season left. Starting to feel a bit empty nesty. 5 pervy curvy clouds, method diets, and botched bunker retirement plans out of 5. Peace and take care. Coffee and Vodka. Yes, thanks, Coffee and Vodka. Are we feeling a bit empty nesty as we get to the end of these shows, John?
Not necessarily, no. I mean, yes, it's always sad to see a show kind of move towards its final moment, certainly when it's been as good as it has.
Yeah.
But equally, I think the balance is getting judged just about right. Do a spin-off. Otherwise it becomes Falcon Crest or Dallas or whatever.
Proper soap opera.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think ultimately,
certainly
this shorter form or make it a soap then,
and it's funny even at the moment, like we've just finished Invincible, Daredevil finished last week, we have The Boys finishing in a couple of weeks time, but we also have The Punisher one shot, we also have Good Omens, and we also have Black Noir coming up on Prime Video, so lots and lots of other stuff comes in to take the place of shows. I'm really glad we've got another couple of episodes of The Boys left to go, but we won't be empty nesty for very long.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think we were all a bit surprised that the Deep took out Black Noir as well. Coffee Vodka, that was a real surprise, but I wonder how it's going to impact him for the next couple of episodes, because I don't think he did have it in him. I think he just literally was going, this guy killed 1.4 billion fish.
Yeah.
Which is quite a lot.
The fish holocaust.
Yeah.
And I'm totally with you, the Coffee and Vodka, around sort of how good of an episode structure and arc this is, moving along, really good stuff coming out of it, with, as you say, that intriguing sort of cliffhanger of what's going to happen next.
Exactly.
Thanks so much, Coffee and Vodka. Over on Discord, we've got some feedback from Dr. Bob, who says, shivers and gasps throughout this episode, Sage getting it wrong, Homelander admitting his need for help, and the bolo of bollocks were my particular high points, along with stream of atrocious, believable 1950s, 60s, 70s, and 80s TV shows and adverts. Now, don't know how the regenerated Homelander is going to get taken down. Could it be that Soldier Boy recognized his error and blasts him to humanity? Well, that is certainly one way. Or, equally, if he doesn't, it would be maybe one of the former students of Gorju who can take the power and replicate it.
Harper.
So hopefully enough time so she could effectively stand in for Soldier Boy rather than going after Homelander and depowering him directly. So there's a few maybe permutations here in how Homelander could meet his end.
Yeah, absolutely. Great stuff. Thanks, Dr. Bob. Also on Discord, we have a feedback from Rora, who says, holy fiddlesticks, I haven't heard any other opinions in this episode yet, but I think that this episode is the best of the entire series so far, at least. Still 2 more to go. It's a race between who gets the V1 and now Glade Spray branded virus getting released. And always knew that Sister Sage would switch sides, but I adored the jump scare she gave them when she did. Black Noir screwing the Deep so badly that he decided to finally make a decision for himself that didn't benefit Homelander. R.I.P. Justin. And just like last episode, the boys knows just how to build that silent tension to make you truly dread what Homelander is thinking about doing. Plus, he finally got to meet someone who isn't scared of him. My only critique of this episode, and unfortunately is a big one, is that they spoiled that Homelander was going to be the one to get the V1 in the trailer for the season. Like, how else was he going to get the big laser eyes? Guys, I get that that's a money shot, but maybe don't put the result from the most hyped up scene so far, the final season, in the video package before any of the episodes even come out. Okay, rant over. Even with that massive thing that bugs me infinitely, it's still a 10. She peed on me once out of 10 for me. Another great line from the legend. Thanks, Rory, for that. Yeah, I think I probably ignored that in the trailer with Homelander getting the massive laser eyes, because I maybe thought, I don't know, maybe if I'm considering it, I might have thought that he was exploding from getting taken down. The power inside him was coming out and he was exploding. So it's a shame they do have to make these trailers, and they hopefully try not to spoil them like the opposite of what Daredevil Born Again did, where they spoiled every single episode just before they came out. So it's a shame if you saw that in the trailer and knew exactly what was going to happen, because I didn't.
No, to be honest, having not read the comics or whatever, I wouldn't have made that connection, but certainly I think moving into this, you are kind of going, oh, where is that shot? Right. I think the one shot from the trailer that I found really intriguing was Homelander beating someone up. That ended off being his son.
Yeah.
And when I saw it, it was like, oh, okay, that's from the trailer.
Yeah.
But that was the one that I was like, oh, I wonder who that is.
Mm-hmm.
The laser eyes going in. So until it actually happened, I luckily wasn't spoiled. But I do know what you mean, Rora, when you say, it can get spoiled because you're kind of looking at it. So you're kind of looking for it and you start to make obs and comments and theories in your own head. And I think that's a valid one to have.
Absolutely.
Sure.
And it's why we no longer do any kind of trailer breakdowns. I think when we started out, when we were covering just, Gotham and Daredevil right back in the day, we used to go through every trailer and talk about what it made us think was coming up. And now they are so spoiler filled that it can ruin an entire series. So I watch the trailer once just for the vibes of it, basically. And then I move on to just watching the series because otherwise you're just going to get things spoiled for you, because you can pretty easily work out from a trailer what is coming up in the series.
Yeah, thanks, Rora.
Absolutely. Thanks, Rora.
Also on Discord, Joe Herb says, the legend lives. Paul Reiser was great in this. Completely agree, Joe.
Yeah.
And Jason B says, okay, I think I was wrong about everything. Was sure Noir was going to kill Deep. Wrong. Homelander wouldn't get the V1. Wrong. Soldier Boy wouldn't let Homelander get the V1. Wrong. Mother's Milk was going to have a deal with another Soup's groin area weapon. Wrong.
even though Billy was trying to set up for that. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think it's keeping us guessing for
Absolutely.
sure, Jason B, and it's a good thing.
Yeah.
So thanks so much, Jason. And Meander on Discord says, Sage gets it wrong when true love is involved and logic cannot be applied. What I wonder, can Soldier Boy take the upgrade away like he did with Bombsight? The legend was great. Homelander just needs someone who is honest and not scared. Maybe a retired super is not a threat like Soldier Boy. That's interesting, actually, Meander, that maybe there's someone from his past. I don't think it is going to happen, but technically, it's possibly another route that Homelander stops being a genocidal maniac. I don't think that is going to happen.
I think so.
But you're right. There is that kind of possibility, potentially. I think the problem is he's surrounded himself with so many yes people that they're all equally as much as an effing whack job as the legend sort of describes him as.
Yeah. Well, the fact that, when he arrives to find the V1 and then starts talking to the angel that gave him guidance, saying, I did everything for you, I even gave up my son, why can't I just get the V1 that you promised me and then become immortal like you promised me? And that's when Legend's kind of looking at him going, what is going on with this whack job here? Yeah. So he's lost it. He's gone beyond the bounds as well. So, but yeah, I think you're right. Maybe there's a possibility that somebody else out there could give him the guidance that he needs, but maybe that should have happened back in season 1 or season 2. 5-10 years ago, there might have been somebody that could have given him the guidance that the legend is able to give him here in this episode.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Meander.
Thanks, Meander. We also have a voicemail in from Steve Brown.
Hello, TV podcast industries. This is Steve, or I guess fellow defenders also, I should say. Anyway, this is Steve, and just wanted to say, just watched the latest episode of The Boys. Is it The Heavens May Fall or something like that? But wow, some unexpected things. I mean, I know you all talked about Noir possibly being the one to kill the Deep, and it goes the other way. And then Soldier Boy giving the V1 to Homelander there at the end. Wow. And again, we get more irreverent, superheroes. Why is there always like something to do with someone's, it's gotta be, can I say that on your podcast?
No.
I hope so. But it's just weird. But of course, that fight in the Vought homes was amazing and funny, and just as cruel as ever this show is. So we'll have to see how we go from here. What is gonna be the result of Homelander getting the V1, and he melted it into himself. Is that what he did? It was very weird. I was wondering how he was gonna get the V1 into his system. You know, the needle might break or something. How would he be able to do it, or drink it, or I don't know. So anyway, can't wait to hear you guys talk about it. And here in a few weeks after the show ends, I think Mark and I are going to do a couple of podcasts about it as well. So talk to you later.
Excellent stuff, Steve. Yeah, looking forward to hearing how you guys enjoy the show at the end of the season. What Soulja Boy did was he cut into his arm using his laser eyes so that he could get the V1 past the impenetrable skin, effectively. So he can cut into his own body using his laser eyes.
Yep. Great stuff, Steve. Thanks for the comments. Now you know how I feel about what I can and can't say on the podcast. Because I don't think technically we can.
Nope.
But you may have been quick enough to get it past that. No. Okay, Darick's shaking his head. So no. We'll have a bleep.
But why is it always men's body parts that the jokes are related to? Because they're infinitely hilarious, and there's lots of men behind the scenes on the show that think that they're infinitely hilarious to talk about very low balls for an old man as a joke, and and strangling people with a 15-foot penis and stuff, you know, that's infinitely hilarious to show on screen, isn't it?
I think so.
Excellent stuff. Thanks so much, Steve, for your voicemail. Great to hear from you as always. Over on Facebook, Mary Eccles says, I loved the return of the legend. Paul Reiser was great. Seeing the senior soup's retirement home added some interesting flair to the episode. Sister Sage may be brilliant, but she clearly doesn't understand Soulja Boy, and she could make her own version of V1, right? Are we going to see any Gen V characters at all? It seems less likely every single episode. Also, as a veterinarian, I agree with the use of peroxide to save Terror last episode. If the boys called and asked me what to do, I would have said peroxide until he pukes. Keep up the good work. Love the podcast. Thanks, Marie. Yeah, that's interesting. So if the dog ever eats chocolate, John, have to give it some peroxide.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm wondering if that works on all pets.
Do not give me peroxide if I eat chocolate, John.
No, I won't.
And I'm not your pet. But yeah, I think something that Sister Sage has mentioned quite a lot is that she doesn't understand Soulja Boy. He's a whack job of a different level. With Homelander, as she says, his children's book is wide open for her to read exactly what he's going to do step by step. But with Soulja Boy, she just can't tell what he's going to do. And here he makes a decision based on love that is so outside of the realm of what she thought he was going to do that she's completely taken aback, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think, Murray, as you and many others, I think seeing the return of Paul Reiser, is so good.
Isn't it?
It's really interesting seeing that as a common sort of thread through the feedback this episode. Yeah. He was just so good. I'm real sure, top quality.
Yeah, I'm sure I've mentioned this in the podcast before that my cousin Phil, who I was very close to, or I'm very close to, when he saw Paul Reiser start to get famous after his part in Aliens, he couldn't watch anything that Paul Reiser ever did after that because he was such a turncoat in Aliens that he just couldn't trust him. So when he was on TV with Mad About You, the comedy show that he was on for like 8 or 9 years, my cousin Phil turned it off every single episode. He just couldn't sit down and take and watch this guy being nice in a normal suburban setting. He was just like, this guy is an a-hole of the highest order. So it's nice to see him doing another a-hole character here, at least in a funny way, right?
Absolutely.
Excellent stuff. Finally, Jamie Lawton says, a welcome return of the legend Paul Reiser, and we finally meet a real bull-swinging superhero. Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Excellent. Thanks, Jamie.
Thank you so much, Jamie, and thanks so much, everybody else, for your feedback for this episode of The Boys Season 5, Episode 6. You can keep sending it in to us to feedback@tvpodcastindustries.com. We'll be back next time with our chat all about The Boys' penultimate episode, The Frenchman, the Female, and A Man Called Mother's Milk. And of course, the next question in our Season 5 pub quiz. We will be actually away on holidays for a week, so we're going to be delaying our last couple of episodes for The Boys. But we'll get back to it as soon as we possibly can after we get back.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, fellow boys and girls, for joining us on episode 6 of this season of The Boys. Really great to get your thoughts and observations in the feedback section, as always. Yes, we will have a slight delay with some of the episodes coming out because of our little weekly jolly. But please bear with us, and we will be back, as Darick says, really soon with episode 7.
Absolutely. And John, thank you so much. I think your voice held up really well there.
Kind of, yes.
Yeah, I think you're ready to go, though. But thank you so much to everybody for joining us. And thank you, John, for joining me for this one.
Yes, as always, fellow boys and girls, it's a pleasure. Until next time, keep watching, keep listening, and of course, keep cleaning out that nacho cheese spigot.
Bye.
Bye.